Monroe is a global leader in ride performance with 10 globally networked engineering centers and a strategically located manufacturing footprint of 24 locations around the world. Maintaining a permanent commercial presence and located on 6 continents, we are everywhere our customers need us to be. In this episode, we're going to see how to perform a good diagnosis of the most common shock and struts customers' claims. We will study why those problems appear and what their main effects are over the suspension performance and how to avoid them in the future. Let's start. First problem is the spring seat failure. In this case, the spring seat appears rusted due to the effect of environmental agents as salt and water in cold areas over the areas of the spring seat where the paint has become damaged due to the effect of impacts with road objects launched by the tires during the ride. When this happens, the spring seat of the struts fall down and the vehicle chassis loses its support at this corner, falling over the struts housing. This situation can cause a serious accident if it happens when the vehicle is running. Unless the product is new and the spring seat has folded down as a result of a faulty welding of the spring seat to strut housing, this problem is considered natural wear, therefore is not considered as manufacturing warranty. Another very common customer claim is the problem related to the wrong tightening torque of the top fixation nuts of the struts. This nut holds together all the parts of the strut assembly, the strut, the top mounting kit and the spring prior to fitting in the car. The top fixation nut should be tightened with a very specific tightening torque, which in most cases goes from 41 Newton to 68 Newton, far below the 120 to 140 of the pneumatic torque pistols. When the strut's top fixation nut is over-tightened, this element can break, leaving free the whole strut assembly from its initial location. If this happens on the road, the vehicle can lose the whole strut assembly, putting at risk the integrity of the driver and the passengers that travel in the vehicle. Therefore, during the fitting process, all the bolts should be tightened using a torque wrench at the right tightening torque, indicated in the fitting instruction sheet of the vehicle's manufacturer. When the strut's threaded stem is broken due to over-tightening, it's easy to see because the steel, submitted to extreme traction and torsion forces, breaks in a small angle, never flat. This claim is not considered as a warranty claim because it's not related to any manufacturing problem. Another common problem due to the use of wrong tooling and procedures is the damaged stem threads. This problem happens when at the fitting process the top fixation bolt is placed incorrectly over the stem tread. Due to the fact that the bolt is at the wrong position in relation with the stem thread, the bolt remains blocked if we try to tighten it by hand. The problem appears when we use a pneumatic pistol to do this job, due to the fact that those machines use a high tightening torque. To tighten the bolt will be tightened incorrectly and the thread will be completely damaged, as in the picture shown. Sometimes during the assembly process of parts of the new strut, the position of the internal washers of the mounting kit can be altered. In this case, in some cases one of the washers is moving inside the assembly, hitting the lower part of the piston rod stem. This problem, apart from being noisy, ends up normally creating a visible damaged area over the treated stem of the strut or damaging the surface of the piston rod. In a similar way, loose parts can hit the piston rod and can hit the lower part of the piston's rod stem, deforming this area in a visible way. Due to the nature of these problems, any of them can be considered warranty claims because all of them are due to the wrong use of the tooling. Some shock absorbers are equipped with a small metal ring called Circlip on the top part of the piston rod. In its normal position, the upper mounting kit rests on this Circlip ring and the whole assembly is fixed with a nut that should be tightened at a precise torque given by the OE manufacturer. In general, around 20 to 30 Newton. This ring prevents the damper rod from coming out without retention through the top mounting kit assembly. For this reason, if the tightening torque of the nut B is not right, problems will occur. If the tightening torque of nut 2B is insufficient, The upper assembly will produce vibrations and annoying noises on the top mounting assembly. These noises are the result of the impacts produced by the different parts of the mounting assembly over the circlip. This unlikely situation normally ends up pushing out the circlip from its working position, damaging the shock absorber. On the other hand, if it is over-tightened, the pressure on the circlip ring will be excessive, causing it to leave its location, leaving the stem free to move out of its normal location. The problem is easy to detect because it leaves a characteristic type of scratches around the area where the circlip was located. Due to the nature of those two problems, any of them can be considered warranty because all of them occur due to the application of a wrong tightening torque during the fitting process of the shock at the car. Another common type of failure occurs when the installer, using pliers, tries to block the strut's piston rod rotation during the tightening process of the upper nut. This unprofessional behavior causes very characteristic scratches and marks over the chromium surface of the piston rod at the place where the pliers were pressing the metal. These scratches and marks appear symmetrically at both sides of the piston rod. The problem appears when the shock absorber is compressed and the damaged area of the piston rod passes through the strut's sealing joint. When this happens, the sealing joint, which keeps the oil and gas inside the strut, becomes irreversibly damaged and the strut begins to lose oil, rendering it unusable for its use in a very short period of time. This problem can be avoided with the use of suitable tools that allow us to block the strut's piston rod while tightening the top fixation nut to the proper torque. For this reason, this type of failure can never be considered a warranty. Another possible cause of oil leakage in shock absorbers or struts is the bad practice of replacing only one shock absorber or strut per axle instead of two. Shock absorbers and struts are wear and tear units. These units are submitted to more than 3,500 rebound compression cycles per mile. Therefore, after 45,000 miles, the shock has gone over 157.5 million cycles. This situation impacts the performance of the shocks and struts' internal parts in different ways. The oil loses viscosity, making the compression and rebound movements softer, less controlled. The valve anti-friction band, located between the piston valve and the working chamber, wears, allowing a certain amount of oil to pass through the gap, making the shock softer and with less control. If we now just replace one shock in that axle, this new unit will be new and therefore stiffer. For that reason, this unit will be overloaded, trying to control all the rebound and compression efforts of the suspension. This unit is not designed to work in this way. Therefore, in a short period of time, the unit will be damaged due to the excessive efforts to which it's submitted, breaking down, losing oil and gas through the top sealing, normally due to overheating. That's why Monroe always recommends replacing the shocks and struts in pairs, per axle, and in the case of struts, replace them always together with protection kits and mounting kits at the same moment. For obvious reasons, this failure cannot be considered manufacturing warranty. The top mounting kits are elements that are subject to a severe wear and tear. Top mounting kits are built in two fundamental parts: the rubber compression bumper and the strut bearing, that facilitates the rotation of the wheels while turning. Over time, due to normal use, these elements wear out and must be replaced to ensure proper operation of the suspension and braking system. If the mounting kits are not in good shape when releasing the steering wheel after coming out of a bend, the steering wheel will not recover its straight position, remaining at an angle. This happens because due to bearing wear, it will become harder and imprecise, blocking the free rotation of the wheels. The result will be that the vehicle will not recover its straight line, automatically increasing the risk of having a serious accident. The lifespan under normal driving conditions of these units is approximately 80,000 kilometers, as in the case of shock absorbers and struts. Therefore, Monroe recommends that whenever shock absorbers or struts are replaced due to natural wear, mounting kits should be replaced at the same time. Monroe protection kits are made of two essential parts. The compression bumper is made of a high-density polyurethane foam. This element has a specific conical shape that reacts, becoming harder the more the unit is compressed. This element is placed on the top of the strut's piston rod and has the main task of limiting roll, dive, and squad of bodywork. When correctly fitted and maintained, the vehicle loaded with one person weighing 80 kilograms at the driving seat, the free stroke, that means the free vertical movement of the shock absorber, is limited from 3.5 to 5 centimeters. Therefore, it is easy to understand that when this element is worn out or shortened, the stroke of the shock absorber will be much bigger, resulting in an increase of uncontrolled bodywork oscillations. The compression bumper has the important task of limiting the bodywork oscillations in two main situations. First, lateral oscillations, caused in general when the vehicle travels around sharp bends. The second, controlling dive and squad, when the vehicle brakes or accelerates abruptly, or when the vehicle is subject to strong impacts due to holes or uneven road surfaces. In both situations, good protection kits will make the car more stable, will protect other suspension parts such as shocks, springs and ball joints from premature aging, increasing the steering control, road holding and reducing braking distance. The second key element of the Monroe protection kit is the dust cover. This element is generally made of high-resistance rubber and has the important task of protecting the shock absorber rod from contact with abrasive particles like mud, salt, asphalt, water, dust, etc. that could irreversibly damage the chrome surface and make the shock absorber useless. When the rod surface is damaged, it usually scratches at the shock absorber's oil seal, causing the oil and the gas, if the shock absorber is pressurized, to escape from the unit, making it useless. This situation seriously jeopardizes vehicle safety, increasing the risk of having a serious accident. The working life of protection kits can vary widely, depending on its use and the climate where those units were operating. But as a general rule, based on the vast experience accumulated after more than 100 years of manufacturing these units in all the continents, Monroe recommends replacing them after 80,000 kilometers and always when the struts are replaced. As in the case of the piston rods damaged caused by the use of pliers at the tightening process, in this case these claims cannot be considered manufacturing warranties because all of them are due to worn protection kits, not to any cause related to the manufacturing process.
We are Garage Gurus. Join our community. Follow us on social media. Thanks for watching this video. The video description contains all the relevant links. Don't hesitate to like, subscribe, and be notified when we post new content. Also, check out our Garage Gurus online course catalog.